Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading Podcast, Season 3, Episode 5. I'm your co-host, Skye.
And I'm your co-host, Susan. How are you today, Skye?
I am exhausted today for no good reason. Like, I wish I could come on here and be like, I'm so tired because we did this and I was up so late and it was so much fun and whatever, but I didn't even go to bed late last night. I don't know what it is. But maybe it's the weather. It is pretty overcast. It's not raining today, but it kind of has been raining for the past like 2 weeks, it feels like. But I'm just like I cannot wake up today. And like I literally, it's Tuesday. I sent an email saying happy Monday. So that's where we're at. That is where we're at. Is that that's how much of a Monday this Tuesday feels like, is that I'm reaching out to like coworkers and people I work with, wishing them a happy Monday. And it is like late afternoon on Tuesday. So that's where I'm at. Where are you at?
I'm in the same boat. It's gloomy here as well. I don't know if I don't think it's tired for me. I'm anxious today, and I don't know. It's not necessarily that I don't know why. I know why, but it's just, I don't know. I saw this diagram. I'm actually going to show you guys. If you're watching this, then you can see it. If you're not watching, I will try to my best to describe it. But it's your dimensions of well-being. Essentially is like you as a planet almost. And I understand why I feel so off, and it's because I have yet to find that work-life balance. But doesn't this visual make so much sense as to like if one of those things is off, it's going to throw you completely out of whack?
I can't. I want you to send it to me and we'll post it on
I will.
socials too, because I want to like really dive into that. But it's an interesting, just from what I'm seeing with like one thing being off in your life, everything else shifts to being off. Is that like the
Yeah.
concept? It's so interesting
Yes.
you bring that up. I'm literally going to try and pull it up here. There's this thing called HALTS, I believe is the acronym. Oh my God, I'm literally throwing shit everywhere. HALTS. Okay, yeah. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired, stressed, or sick. And that spells out HALTS is the acronym.
Yeah.
This is something my therapist told me. And it's like, these are all the different aspects of your life. And so the way I was kind of looking at it is all five of those things equal 100%. So if one of those things is, let's say, I'm really hungry. Now my hunger, let's say that's not at, what would it be, 20%? It's at 5% because I'm very hungry. Everything else has to make up for that being less than its covered than its percentage of
Right.
the 20% of the 100%. Like, let's say it always has to be at 100%. So if other things are off, other things have to pick up more of the load. And if they
Yeah.
don't, and then you have more than one thing off, you're piling so much on like these other things and they can't keep up. So
Yep.
I think we're kind of talking about the same analogy here, but like if you're putting too much on certain things and not addressing the things that need to be addressed, everything's just gonna fall apart,
Hmm. Yes.
which
Or
is really
it's gonna
dramatic.
feel very, or it'll feel very fallen apart. And that can, for me anyways, that's when I spiral. And
Yes.
that's when I get anxious. And then I dig myself into this cute little hole that I'm in right now. And I need to use habits and skills to get me out of it, which is perfect because that's what we're talking about today,
Yep.
which is habits to bring you from surviving to thriving, which
This
I
has
think we're
been
all always in the process of.
Yes, this has been such a phrase for us on TikTok, especially the past couple of months. And the videos always do so well. And I think we're always trying to find like this is kind of like side note into like the marketing side of things, but like we're always trying to find like the phrase that's going to catch people's attention. And it's so interesting to see like we can post and be like three things to change your life, and the whole 100 days and change your life slogan obviously worked very well, but it's interesting, things change. Like I think 2 years ago, here's how to change your life in 100 days was like, yes, I want that, everybody was grabbing onto it, versus now our attention spans cannot handle 100 days like they used to. And so many people
No.
want like the three things that helped me go from surviving to thriving. It's like, that's like three things that you can do today, which obviously,
We all
no, go. Yeah, yeah.
we want we want instant gratification. So I think that it's short, it's sweet, it's cute, it's very demure. And
It
that's
is
what
very
we all
generic and
want.
it's very accurate. Like it's never like anything we post online is never like a grab for attention, obviously. Like we are trying to increase brand awareness, but we're doing it in authentic ways. But it's just so interesting to see from that side of things that like change your life in 100 days, surviving to thriving, glow up, summer glow up, all these different things all mean the same thing and are going to be basically the same habits and pieces of advice, just a different way of saying it. Because, like, a lot of these things, when I was putting this together, a lot of my list is from the 21-day reset or the 100-day challenge or the life audit, like all these different pieces of information that we already have talked about, or honestly, some of these we haven't talked about, but sometimes you need to shift your own brain to think about it in a different way to really, even though, like, actually, this happened just yesterday. I complained to Nick about this situation, and he always just tells me, like, let it go, just stop thinking about it. It's not that big of a deal. Like, and he says it a lot nicer than that. But, like, he tells me one thing, and until you can finally understand it for yourself, it doesn't matter how many times you've heard it. So, if you still feel like your life is not improving, your mental health is not improving, and you've tried these certain tips, whatever, maybe you just need a perspective shift. So I feel like that's really what we're doing today is like we've talked about a lot of these topics before, but we're going to shift the perspective and really try and like hammer home some of these phrases and techniques.
Yeah. So do you want to just kick us off? What's the first thing on your list?
So I kind of started with like a cheat sheet, and it's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven different emotions of like poor mental health and then the quick fix. So I'll just read them off. Overthinking, you should write. If you're anxious, movement. Tired, disconnect. Confused, talk to someone. Overwhelmed, ask for help. Stressed, meditate. And if you're doom scrolling, read a book.
I love that.
Right? And I like this key almost like this could be like you could even continue using this with the rest of our list that we're going to go through because it's just an easy way to one, you talked about this a few weeks ago, identify how you're actually feeling. And then once you've identified that, like, okay, you said you're anxious. Like, did you get some movement in this morning? Like, can we go for a
I
10-minute
sure
walk?
did.
Okay, so maybe we need more than that. But here, starting point, you knew I'm anxious. What's going to help me? I need to start my day off
Yes.
with my endorphins, kicking those off, kicking those into gear. So I think I like this little cheat sheet as like a almost a precursor. Like, okay, I know I'm feeling stressed. That's like checkbox one. Now, what can I do? I should meditate. Okay, I did that. That didn't do quite enough. Now I can go into like deeper in my toolbox, but it's kind of a nice like layer one almost.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that that's just taking the 3 seconds it takes to check in with your emotion and how you're feeling. Because you can be like, I'm off. I don't feel good. I feel not myself. But digging deeper and finding exactly what that emotion is or what couple emotions you have running around in tandem together. And then having that as like, I want to print that out and stick that on my computer monitor
Mm-hmm.
just to have it, just to be like, okay, wait, Susan, how are you actually feeling right now?
Yep. We should make a pretty version of it instead of just like my terrible handwriting, writing this super fast this morning. Like, because it's a nice little reminder and it's just,
Yes.
even if like maybe you are overthinking and writing is not your style and you would really rather like separate yourself and go for a walk. Like obviously you can solve some of these emotions with multiple things on this list, but it almost is like a nice way to one identify actually how you're feeling because instead of just being confused about your emotions, you can really narrow it down. And then you have seven different options that you can pick from. And we're giving you the option that we think is best suited to help with that specific emotion. But everybody's different. Maybe you're not someone who meditates and that sounds absolutely ridiculous to you. Okay, try something else. And there's a list here of like, I would say these are like my top seven ways to help your mental health. Like at the end of the day, like writing, movement, disconnecting, reading, meditating, asking for help, talking to someone, like those are the ways. And there's obviously more, but I feel like
Yeah.
those are like the seven overarching, like, this is what's going to help.
Yeah, and you have so many different avenues to go down. It's not like they're all very different. So you have an option for everything. And
Yes.
I agree. It's the big seven.
The big seven. Yep. It's like we should change the lyrics to Miley Cyrus's like seven things I hate about you, and you can try and make it like the seven things to improve your mental health.
Yes, I love that.
If I wasn't in the headspace of like, hey, it's Tuesday, happy Monday, I probably would have had like a better way to say that that would have been like a lot more like, oh, but we're not there today. So that this is just where
Yeah.
we are.
Thank you for meeting us where we are with our wit today, because it's the bare minimum.
Me
So the first thing I have on my list was making your bed and, if
too.
possible, investing. Of course. And investing in throw pillows. I have found that since I got my cute little throw pillows, which I did not want to spend the money on, it took me 2 years to buy these darn things. But I make my bed every day because I don't want my cute pillows to sit on the floor all day.
Mhm.
So, highly, highly, highly recommend making your bed. You can see it if you're watching the video, you can see my bed. Um, and so where my workspace is kind of conjoined with my rest sleep space, just having that made, even though I can't see it most of the time, it's literally behind me. Knowing that it's made just gives me such peace of mind. Skye and I were texting about this the other day, and it just, oh, make your bed.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it is the first thing you can do every single morning, and you're already checking something off like a physical list if you have a habit tracker and make your bed is on it, or just like that mental list where like you get up and you immediately make your bed. Your space feels cleaner, your head space feels cleaner because like it's unfinished. Like you can't walk around all day with a bed unmade and then you're gonna get into it at night. But it was like something about it, and maybe because like maybe because I've been doing it for so many years now, it's like I can't even imagine not doing it. And it started for me in college during like the COVID years where I was literally living in my bedroom. I would take classes in my bedroom, sleep in my bedroom, eat in my bedroom, like exercise. Like it was everything was happening in this teeny tiny little box. And you have to figure out ways to separate those times of day, even if you're staying in the same place. Like for both of us with working from home, if my bed wasn't made and we both literally sit at desks with our backs to our beds, like I can't imagine getting up to like use the bathroom in the middle of some big work thing and like, oh, my bed's not made. It's just not the way you want to present yourself to yourself, even if nobody else sees it. Like what you put forward
Yeah.
to yourself is then going to be what's put forward to other people. If that Oh, see,
Yeah.
after last week, I'm not saying that phrase anymore. We don't say if that makes sense anymore.
No, we do not. I see myself saying that in our memos too. I'm like, oh, not gonna say it. So but
Yep.
we're not gonna say that. Um, it feels very professional to make your bed. And I feel the professionalism at night when I peel back my sheets and I'm like, wow, I was such a grown up today. I made my bed this morning and now I can just jump in and get cozy and comfortable.
It
And
is,
you spend less time trying to get comfortable at night when it's already made.
yep, for sure.
It's a time
And
saver.
it is a time saver and it's a nice way to kind of congratulate yourself. Like, okay, today was a great day, a hard work day, whatever it was, and now I'm shifting into night mode and I'm peeling back the covers and it's like a change in your like I feel like it's like closing the chapter on one part of your day and opening it for the next, whether it's like you're getting up and you're making your bed, okay, sleep time over, now it's into my morning routine, or it's okay, work day over, dinner time over, whatever, I'm getting into my bed now. So simple,
Yes,
but so effective.
absolutely.
It
What's your
makes
next thing on your
me
list?
it kind of makes me think of
Oh,
the TikTok I sent you today where this girl was making her own coffee from home, and I think that was the point of her video was she was saying it was better to make coffee at home than it was to buy it out, which like whatever. I'm not really focusing on that part of it, but the tagline was take the extra 10 minutes to give yourself a better 10 hours. I think that's what it was. I'm
yes.
going to look it up while
Yep.
we talk about it. But it was basically what I took away from it was if you spend, it seems like 10 minutes is so much. And like, oh my God, I only have an hour in my morning routine. Like, I can't take 10 minutes making my own coffee. But if you take the 10 minutes to make that coffee, it's going to impact the rest of your day for like in ways you don't even think about because you're taking the time to do something for yourself, you're making a delicious beverage, you're setting yourself up for success, and that's going to like domino effect in such a positive way. This the quote, you're signed to take the extra 10 minutes for a better 10 hours. So yeah, it's just the little things like making your bed add up and like roll. It's like a snowball. Like the snowball starts off like teeny tiny in the morning, and the more things you do to set yourself up for success, the bigger your snowball is at the end of the day.
And I think on the flip side of that, you can twist it too. A bad 10 minutes doesn't mean you need to have a bad 10 hours. And I know I'm really guilty of that of, oh, this just came up at work and now I'm angry and now I'm pissed off. And then I just let it consume me. And then I have a crap rest of my day. Like we don't need to do that anymore. That's so last year.
Oh my God, I really like that. Even like with this snowball, it's such a good
Mhm.
what you just said. Like, okay, so all the little things are going to like little grow to big snowball. But on the flip side, one 10-minute bad thing is going to take away from the size of your snowball. But at the end of the day, you're not going to notice the difference of that 10-minute piece of bad from your day. Like the snowball is going to look the
Yeah.
same size to the naked eye at the end of the day. So like it's almost like a physical visualization of how much the good things can lead up to something great and how you can really brush off the negative stuff. It doesn't have to add up to the bigger picture.
Absolutely. Just let the little things roll off. Obviously, if it's like someone doing all these little naggy things that like pile up, then that's a different situation. But if it's just these little inconveniences or frustrations, we just don't need to harp on them.
Mm-hmm. And it's not, I know we've talked about this a little bit, but we were memoing about this yesterday that you get to choose what you're going to put your energy into. So even if we want to use that like halts 100% thing, like if we look at like your energy, actually, did you send this to me or did I send this to you? Like if you look at you have 24 hours in a day, are you, so let's think about you have 24. Oh, actually this is my therapist. It's a book and she was basically it's a very funny title, but basically the theory in this book was that you get um 24 fuck bucks a day. So the concept is like you get 24 things to give a fuck about every day. Are you going to let one thing be worth one or two of your 20, only 24 that you get in a day? And it was so eye-opening to me. It was like, you only get 24. Like you get to choose where those 24 bucks get spent in your day, and you're going to waste it on something that like doesn't bring you joy, happiness, success, money, like whatever it's going to positively bring you. If it doesn't do that,
Yeah.
like you only get 24.
I love that.
I forgot to share
That's the
that with
imagery
you.
I needed today.
Yeah, I forgot
That's
to
the
share that with
imagery
you
I
last
needed
week.
today.
But yeah, we love it. She's so funny. But yeah, what's it I thought it was called I found it. Who are you willing to literally spend your time on? If you have $24 per day, are you going to waste any on people who drain your energy and don't give you joy? Like you're literally look at it as money. Like are you going to give somebody even a dollar who takes your joy away? Like I wouldn't. I wouldn't give them 50 cents. Half hour, wouldn't give them that. So why am I spending time with it? Why am I if I'm if why would you even I think this was more thinking about like who are you physically going to be with, but even on the flip side, like your brain space, that's your choice too. Are you going to spend 1 hour or 1/2 hour of your whole day thinking about something that you can't change or doesn't benefit you or whatever? Like, if it doesn't have a positive impact or a fixable outcome, let it go.
Yeah.
Spend the
It's
money
as
on
simple
something
as
else.
that.
Yep.
Speaking of things you can spend money on, my number two was a cute, comfy slipper. I don't know what it is, but when I have my slippers on in the house, I just feel unstoppable. Like I feel like Martha freaking Stewart. Like I just love it. And I feel elevated. And I mean, tell me that these aren't the cutest little
Those are
things.
cute. I'm literally wearing my slippers right now too. So it's so funny. Like we're both sitting here. And no, I also like because I only wear my like these are like UGG very winter slippers, obviously. And so I have like my summer slippers that are just more like a house slide or house shoe, whatever you
Mhm.
want to call it. And it's kind of a nice, like, oh, time to, like you switch your clothes for the season, but like, oh, time to switch my
Mhm.
slippers for the fall. But it is like if you're having a really bad mental health day, week, moment, whatever, leaning into those comforts, whether it is like watching a movie that like is full of nostalgia that like reminds you of a happy time, whether it was childhood or high school or whatever moment that brings you that joy that you can like pin a movie on. That's a great thing to do. Like warm blankets. Like I'm in a huge hoodie today. I feel like that's like you want to lean into those comforts. And if you can't lean into them in I guess the easiest way sometimes is to like let it be your environment, whether that's like a cozy slipper or what you're wearing, what you're listening to. A lot of these things will really help your oxytocin, I think, which is the
Yeah.
love one. We should
Yeah.
know
I think
this.
it's oxytocin. Love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oxytocin is love.
And I think that helps. And I think slippers for sure. It's like those, it's the comforts, soup, it's for sure soup
Mhm.
season. Everybody needs to lean into
Yep.
like the cozy season more and hold on
So I
to
guess this
those
one,
parts.
this category is more like hits on materialistic comfort.
Hmm.
There we go. Sums
Yeah.
it up.
Which honestly wasn't any of the seven that I talked about at the beginning, but I do think it is an important one to include because like we're not going to sit here and say like okay you have to go out and buy throw pillows and you have to go buy slippers, like you don't have to do these things, but if you are looking for like everybody needs a good retail therapy day and there's nothing wrong with
Mhm.
it. And I think I have recently learned in the past couple of years like the balance between okay, I feel terrible today. I'm going to go out and spend money because that'll make me feel better. And I won't lie to you. In the moment, it totally does make you feel better. But then 3 hours later or 3 days later, you're like, oh my God, this was stupid. I didn't need this. I shouldn't have spent that money. But if you can be
Mhm.
good about it and like kind of set those budgets for yourself and be like, okay, I'm going to treat myself today. I'm going to go buy this throw pillow because I know it will positively benefit me going forward. And this is how much I'm willing to spend on it. Like, if you can set yourself up with those parameters before you go out and do your retail shopping day, then I think it is such a nice thing to do. It gets you out of your headspace. It's a treat. And like, you need to reward yourself. Like, you deserve to go out and do something. If you're having a really low day, it's probably because you're being overworked in some capacity. So let yourself be separated from your everyday environment, even if it's a coffee. Like it doesn't have to be something that is going to be in your home. Like I think for us, the home comforts like are, like I just bought those soup mugs today. Like so much comfort, so but it's whatever works for you. Like I don't know, like or go like get a pedicure if that's like your thing, like make a toolbox maybe of like your treat day things, like things that are going to bring you that little extra piece of joy when you really need to lean into the external joy factors.
Yep. And I feel like these little, I'm gonna call them upgrades. These little upgrades to my day are like, they make me feel like I'm thriving and not surviving.
Yeah. Because you're doing something intentional that's different from your everyday routine. And I think the mundane, same routine every single day can be very rewarding in a sense of like, yes, I'm getting up at the same time, I'm doing my exercise, I'm eating my great breakfast, and I'm getting my coffee and I'm going to work. And like this routine is good for me. That's great, but you can't do it all the time. So I think these little
Mhm.
pieces that change up your routine, whether it is like your slippers, your coffee, or whatever, give you like, oh yeah, like I am feeling that luxurious mindset. Like I'm thriving today. And
Yeah.
it's a nice little switch it up. And I think sometimes, like we said, like switch your perspective at the beginning of the episode. If you're having this rough mental health patch in whatever capacity, like get yourself out of your own head. And sometimes that has to start physically, like change up your routine or change it up for one day and just see, like, okay, I really needed that, or call a friend, like something that's out of the ordinary, because you're not going to change if you're staying the same.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yep. Yeah, that I guess that's really what we're getting at here is like try something new. And if it's shopping, then great. Like at the end of the day, whatever's going to work, if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. And nothing that we've talked about here is that bad at all. Your throw pillows have brought you so much joy, and that was one of the best purchases you made
Mhm.
for that reason.
And it was on discount.
Yep. See, you can't complain. There's nothing to complain about.
No,
Those pillows were worth every cent because they were
every
they were
cent.
such a happy purchase for you in the moment. And then here we are 2, maybe even 3 weeks later, still talking about them. So totally worth it. It's something you see every single day. Like that's a nice thing too. Maybe get a piece of decor that like you can see all the time, or it's like a nice candle you can light and
Yeah.
that's like cozy. Or I was thinking about getting some Lash bath bombs, and like obviously that would go away pretty quickly, but that would be a nice, like, not super expensive, but then you can go out of your way to look forward to this bath night that you're going to have with your special bath bomb that you bought. And like these little things can, we're full circle here, add up to the bigger picture moments that then at the end of the day you're like, it was a look, there were some hard pieces in my day, but I had this really yummy coffee, or I took a bath, or I took 15 minutes for myself and exercised, and that added up to it being a decent day or a good day or a half good day.
I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast. I know I put a graphic from Pinterest up on our DLL stories last week, maybe the week before, but it's essentially breaking your day into 4 parts, which is just a bigger chunk than your 24 bucks. But it's 4 parts of your day. You have early morning, early afternoon, late afternoon. And if you're have one of those fourths of your day be bad, you're not going to throw away the whole day and say the whole thing was garbage. And I think it's just reframing, like we've been reiterating this whole episode, is just not letting one little thing destroy or derail your entire day.
I like that visual. And I think, yeah, it's repetitive, a lot of what we've been saying here today, but it's each of these things is going to hit home differently for each person listening. So I don't think it's a waste of time to sit here and talk about all the different analogies, because they all say it in a slightly different way, kind of in the same way that like writing, movement, disconnecting, meditating, reading a book, these things are all kind of the same, because you're disconnecting, you're changing your environment, you're putting your brain space somewhere else from where it currently is. But it's each one of those is going to do something slightly different. And that's going to work for different people for different things. So I think it really is worth the time for us to, one, sit here and talk about all these different analogies and techniques, but also to do your own research outside of this and really figure out, like, oh, like um that Danielle on the TikTok and Instagram, she has the AM Uncovered, where she uncovers the morning routines of like a bunch of different people. Those are really fun to look into because you see what works for various people, and it's going to be completely different person to person. But then even research like what people do that helps them with their mental health or when they're having a bad day, because it is going to be different for everybody, but there's going to be little pieces of each one of these routines that you can pick up and then build like your perfect routine for like your recipe for a bad mental health day.
What's your
Um
list looking?
it's funny because we talked so much about material things, and something I had put on my list was stop focusing on material things. So it's kind of funny because I think material items are a double-edged sword when it comes to mental health, because
Yes.
I know like in college I was 100% self-medicating with shopping during COVID. Oh my God, like I would haul like crazy, like it was insane how much I was shopping, and it was just like Aerie has a new drop, like all these different things. Okay, I'll spend money. And I was like, looking back, I don't even have 90% of the clothes that I had, because it was like, oh, I wore this once, or I never wore this. I'm going to sell it or give it away or whatever. So it's like, why was I doing that? It's like, you have to find the balance with shopping from like, are you doing this because the act of spending money and buying something new is going to help you and have that like 10-second quick relief from the pain you're actually feeling? Or is it shopping that is going to benefit you in the moment and also is something that is going to benefit you long term? And I think the distinction of like the impromptu shopping days are a blast, but I think if you're having a bad mental health day and you plan ahead, like, okay, Saturday is going to be my shopping day for X, Y, and Z, then you get to look forward to it all week, which is always good for mental health. If you have something to look forward to, those that usually really helps me. Like if there's something I'm dreading, I always try and like couple it with something that I can look forward to. So if you do that, you plan out not exactly what you're going to buy, but at least maybe like the stores you're going to go to or your budget or like something about it. You're thinking ahead. So you're looking forward to it and you feel responsible in the moment and after the moment. So you can just truly let yourself be happy in the shopping experience and not have that post buyer's regret.
Well, you're being intentional. I think that's the biggest thing with
Yep.
this, especially as former shopaholics and retail therapy clients.
Yep.
I think you just have to be intentional about what you're buying. So if you go in with, I'm looking for something cozy, I'm looking for something to bring me comfort, I'm looking for something to better my mental health, whether it's a journal, a candle, a book, whatever it may be, throw pillows. But if you're going in with the intention of finding that, I think it's different than just I need to go spend money. I need to
Yes.
go to TJ Maxx with no purpose other than to buy something.
Yes. And I mean,
I don't remember. No, you
no,
go
go.
ahead.
I all I was gonna say is like this is true, but I can tell you when I am home, I will be walking into Target and letting Target telling me what I need. And that's okay.
That's a little
This
different. Yes.
okay, fair.
That's
Yes. But I just want to say, like, even though we sit here and we say, like, this is the right way to do things and this is going to help and blah, 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 it's like nobody's perfect and no situation is perfect and no fix is going to be perfect for everything at any moment. Like we all need those impulsive moments, whether it's shopping or
yeah,
whatever it is. Like that's just human nature. And you can't be like perfectly like buttoned up and like we all have to have our moments. So like it's fine to go and have your impulsive shopping spree and no one's going to be upset with you. But if you're like actually trying to shop to help your mental health, that's what we're using in this situation is like, okay, if you actually want this to be beneficial for your mental health, here's the way we've found that's best to do it.
absolutely. Do you want to just go through and list what you have left on your list?
Yeah, we'll go through and we'll kind of like tangent as we go through. You are what you repeatedly do. That was the first thing I wrote down after my like key. And I think obviously that's a habit is like what you do every day, but like like they say like you are what you eat. Like you are what you do. Anything you do becomes who you are. So if you're the person that like if you realize at the end of the day, oh, I felt like shit today and I don't feel good about myself. And it's like, okay, well, what did you do to change that? Like, first of all, do you want to change that? Because I think that's kind of step one. Like, even I've noticed in the past couple of years, I have started noticing when I have those days or weeks where I'm going out of my way to try and find something to buy. And where I used to just lean into that and buy it, now it's like, okay, why am I feeling that way? Let's identify that. And that's the growth. Like, that's the healing. So if you're not quite there yet where you're identifying, okay, why do I feel this way? And like that's step one is you have to be able to be hard on yourself and want to identify these bad habits and then change them. It's like, well, if you feel bad at the end of the day, did you do anything all day to help yourself? And if you did, okay, maybe we need to adjust that so that it's actually benefiting you. Maybe today was just a shitty day and that happens and that's also okay. It's part of life. Or did you do nothing today to help yourself? And then you know what? This is what happens. This is the reality. Like you are what you do and let's make it a happy place to be.
Yep. I don't even need to touch on that. You just wrap that up beautifully.
Um Change your habits to make the life you want. I feel like that was kind of the same. Um
Yep.
I put down journaling specifically, though, to record your thoughts and recognize patterns. I have been, especially after our Liz episode, I've been really trying to journal every day, even if it's just one paragraph, one sentence, even if it's just like coloring or whatever, just like putting pen to paper and seeing those patterns. Like, oh, I was feeling this way at this point, and I was feeling the same way last month, or look, 2 weeks ago. Like, and like, as a woman, like, is that hormone related? Like, I think I've really been trying to like track that. Like, I know that's been something that's been talked about a lot more online, which I think is amazing because you realize how similar we all are. And it's like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like this makes sense. And you can recognize these patterns for yourself that can either give you peace of mind that, like, okay, I see the pattern, I understand why, we're good, check next. Or you can recognize the pattern and see how to improve it. Like if you're going to somewhere and it's like a once a month event, you go there and you always get really down in the dumps and you have a terrible migraine and you feel like shit the next week, every single week after that event, every month. Okay, well, who's at this event? Are they not benefiting you? Is it stress of being at the event? Is it a work event? Like whatever it is, like you can take the time to analyze those patterns and hopefully do things to make it better for you. Because you do have a choice. Like some things you don't have a choice in, but you always have a choice in how you react and respond to things.
Yep. I've never thought of analyzing my journal. I love that.
Yep. Almost like I did it when I had really, really, really bad migraines, where I would just write like in my notes app. And I think maybe that's where I got into the headspace with this. Like, okay, I had a migraine on blank day. It's like, okay, now I've had 6 migraines in the past 2 months. Like, do these line up? Does this make sense? Like, whatever it is. And it's just an interesting, if you are kind of stuck on like, well, why should I journal? How is it going to benefit me? This is a way where you can literally analyze your own journal data, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I
Yeah, give it
really
a
like
try.
that. I'm going to start.
Exercise we talked about as we always do, fact-based evidence and asking yourself questions. We kind of went into this with like, let's actually take the time to figure out how we actually feel and like using the facts versus like the anxiety of, well, I think it's going to be like this, or I'm worried that I was perceived this way, or whatever it is that's making you then spiral. Like, first of all, ask yourself how, like, what is important to focus on, and then what are the actual facts? Like, did somebody say something that actually was them saying like, I don't like you, for example, whatever? Or are you sitting there spiraling saying like, I don't think they like me because this happened and it could have been construed this way? It's like, we're not doing that. Like, we're doing fact-based evidence. We are focusing on the things that we know and that actually happened, and the rest is out the door. We don't have time for the maybes ever.
Nope. Taking that out of our vocabulary.
Yes. Oh, did we use maybe?
I don't think we did.
That would have been an interesting one to dissect. I really enjoyed that episode because it really, like,
That
even
was
in the
fun.
past week, it's like we've both already been incorporating the different words to avoid and like catching ourselves with the phrases. And it was fun.
It
Uh,
was.
oh, this is kind of a Skylar reminder, but I'm sure it's beneficial for other people. As I think we're similar in this, where we are extroverted introverts, where I definitely, my batteries recharge when I'm alone, but there is that part of me that can really turn it on and be very social. And like, I think if you knew me out on like a friendship basis, you wouldn't assume that I am extremely introverted, because I feel like I can like put on that face and be extroverted, like here for the podcast and obviously things like that. But like my my recharge happy place is like being solo in my space, not with the outside world. And it's crazy to think about some people where they recharge their batteries in social situations, which just to me is like, that is the most draining thing I put myself through. So it's funny. Everybody's different, but I know that for me. But have to remind myself that there is that balance of recharging in silence solo setting. But if you hit the point where you're isolating yourself too much, then it has the opposite effect. And now you're feeling isolated, you're feeling lonely, you're feeling like nobody likes you because you're choosing not to spend time with people. Like, you really have to find that balance of like recharging alone, but still then forcing yourself to get back out there and be around people.
Absolutely. And I think that all comes back to balance too, of what do you need? What are the social obligations you have? And then where can you say no
Yes. And that's a really
if you need
important
to?
boundary. Like, are you going to say no to something because you genuinely don't want to go? Or are you saying no because you're introverted and you're enjoying your time at home, but you know you'd probably enjoy it once you got there? Or like, I feel like I have to do that in my head. It's like you do have to give yourself the moments where it's okay to say no. Like you don't have to go to every event. You don't have to do things you don't want to do, especially in social situations like that. So you really do get to pick and choose, but you kind of have to be a little hard on yourself too, where you might have to push yourself and go even if in the moment you don't want to, because you can tell like I always like it when I'm there, or like this will benefit me long term, or you know what, this might not be my top choice, but this is going to be best for me for X, Y, and Z. Like you have to be a little bit tough.
Especially when you get comfortable saying no, sometimes it can become really easy to say no. I know when I was pregnant, no became my initial instinct, where it used to be yes, yes, yes. Like I'll just go to everything to make everyone happy. And then I got pregnant. I was like, no, I'm not going to that. And then it became, no, I don't want to do anything. And then that also was not like it's everything is good in moderation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a nice line for the whole episode theme is that like everything is
Yeah.
good in moderation. Yeah. Because for people that like we used to be the type of people that would just say yes to everything and dread it. So then you go to the flip side and you were like, no, 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 no. And obviously you had a very good excuse for saying no, but you do have to find the middle ground there where like you're doing the things that even if it's not your favorite thing to do, if it's going to benefit you or someone in your life or some aspect of your life, you will enjoy it when you get there. And you sometimes just have, but then on the flip side of that, the boundary does need to be there because you don't need to feel like you have to say yes and be forced into things. Like you, if someone's asking you, do you want to come? That is a choice. You get to decide if you want to come or not. It's not like that question isn't asked and there's not an immediate response or an obvious response. Like you do get to choose if you're going to say yes or no.
Absolutely.
What was the rest of your list?
I'm going to skip over some of them because we already either you touched on them or we talked about them in general. But daily chores, that is a habit that has made my mental health a lot better. Just like having your little to-do list of things that need to get done every single day. We put it on the fridge because, especially with the new baby, my husband, I, as his wife, needed him to help more and he didn't know how to help or where to help. So I put a whiteboard on the fridge and it has the to-do list of all the chores that need to be done every day. There's a box next to him, like for some of them, they're like feed Maggie, who is our dog, if you don't know. Like there's two check marks. Like, well, I don't want people to think we only feed the baby twice.
Yes.
So so just daily chores really it keeps your environment cleaner. And there's the expectation of like this needs to get done. And it's never going to be 50-50 because there's some days where you can only give 20% and your partner is going to make up the 80%, you
Yes.
know? And so just this having it all out there, this is what needs to be done, and then get what you can done, they get what they can done, and maybe your whole list doesn't get done in a day,
Mhm.
but at least some of it got done, which is 100% more than if it wasn't there and we didn't know what needed to be done.
True. And if
um
nothing else, even if you live alone, I think the daily chore chart
right.
is brilliant because
Yeah.
it's just a reminder like you don't need to assume that you're going to remember things. Like write it down. I write everything down. Like I will not expect myself to remember anything. Everything gets written down. So even if you live alone, just make a
Which
list. Hmm?
this is perfect because my next one was a morning brain dump where
Yes.
I, especially lately, like I just don't have the capacity to hold anything in my brain for any period of time because that's what I used to store everything up here. And now she's like malfunctioning with everything I have going on. So, pen to paper, I have like two notebooks I set down next to each other. One notebook, I write all of the work stuff. And usually, when I'm doing the work stuff, personal, home, baby, all the things come out in the same thread. So my personal stuff goes in the other journal, but I have them both out at the same time and I just get everything done. Whether it's a today's to-do list, whether it's a week to-do list or a month's to-do list, but anything that I can get out of my brain and onto paper, I blurt out and then I try to categorize it and prioritize by what needs to be done today, what are the top 3 things for today at work, what are the top 3 things today for personal, and that's kind of how I've been structuring my day.
I love that. I don't even have anything else to add for that. I think the brain dump is brilliant. I haven't done it in a long time, but it's such a good idea. So beneficial.
It's so helpful. So helpful. Um, Finding time every day for what makes you passionate or what your passion is. And you touched on this when you were saying like you are what you do. If you're passionate about something and you want, let's for instance, you want to make your passion your career. If you're not working on it every single day, you can't expect to just wake up one day and that be your job.
Mhm.
And Chris and I had a very tough love conversation about exactly this last night. And I was like, I'm so stressed about work and I'm unhappy with this. And he was like, Susan, I love you. He was like, but I would not be doing my job as your husband if I wasn't brutally honest with you right now. And he was like, no one's going to do it for you. Like, you have, if this is what you really want, you have to do it. And he was like, no one's going to come and do it for you. And I did not like that response because I just wanted, oh, I feel so bad for you, Susan. And that's not what I got. And this morning I woke up and I said, thank you for saying that. I know I didn't like it last night, but I do appreciate it. And I did. I got up this morning and I worked out and I have done all of the things I need to do because at the end of the day, I think we need to start putting emphasis on effort versus outcome. And if you're putting the effort in every single day, then the outcome is going to come. It doesn't matter when, you don't put a timeline on it, it's going to come. So just effort over outcome.
Oh
And
my
that,
God. Susan, that's brilliant. Effort over outcome. That's really reminding me of last time this year when we both had just read Atomic Habits or whatever. We were talking about Atomic Habits and we really decided to use our 2024 goals list more as I can't even think of the word right now. Systems instead of
yes.
goals. And I don't know about you, but looking at my goal sheet, systems list, whatever you want to call it, from this year. I think it was systems, right? Is that the word?
Yeah, it was systems, like process.
Yeah.
I
Um,
think systems is right though.
Goals and systems for 2024. Yeah. I have checked off more this year than last year by a landslide. And it's because when you stop focusing so much on a specific number or a event, an outcome, like you said, and you just focus on those little daily habits. Wait, say it again. Something over outcomes.
Outcome, effort over outcomes.
Effort. If the daily efforts, the little habits, these little things, focus on that one checkbox instead of the giant checkbox that you hope to make down the line. Because if you want to make $1 million in 1 year and it's January 1st, you're not going to be able to check that off until at least December 31st. Like you have to give yourself the full
Right.
year if your goal is to make X amount in 1 year. So instead, say that you're going to do X, Y, and Z effort every single day to get there. And
Mhm.
that's what you're doing. And it's so much more rewarding. It allows you to get where you want to be in a way that is continuously motivating you to get there. I love effort over outcome. That's freaking brilliant.
And you're going to identify as whatever it is you're doing. If I want to be a full-time YouTuber, I need to be picking up my camera every single day or 5 days a week. Like I need to be
Yep.
picking up the majority of the time and doing something with it. I can't just pick it up when I want to and expect that outcome, you know?
Yeah.
So that's where we're at with that.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
And last but not least is weekly meal planning, which I actually stole from you because you were the one who introduced me to this. I feel like, and to be clear, meal planning is different than meal prepping. I
Very.
tried to do meal prepping and it was like you make your meals all on Sunday and then things are disgusting by Thursday and I'm not going to eat them. And then we're
Yep.
wasting food and it's a whole thing.
Yep.
Meal planning is simply where Skye does it in her notes app, which is now where I do it. Write down what you are having for dinner that night.
Mhm.
And then you can get your ingredients I mean, you probably shop more frequently than we do, but then you get your ingredients and you just look at it. And we did it for the first time 2 weeks ago. And it made our week so much easier because it was like, I remember Wednesday morning, I was like, I have no idea what we're going to have for dinner. And then I was like, oh, wait, yes, I do. Sunday, Susan did this.
Yep.
Let me just open my notes app. And it takes the stress out of everything. And I found that I had so much more patience with my husband because I am the cook in our house.
Yep.
I wasn't resentful towards him because if I didn't have an idea that night, I wasn't going to blame him,
Yep.
even though that makes no logical sense. But that is the pattern we were in
Yes, of course.
because I already did the thinking one day. I only had to think about it one day, and
Yep.
then I just had to follow the plan the rest of the days.
And so
So that simplified.
I put meal planning and creating the grocery list as a chore. That's a weekly chore, and that is a chore that is in pink, so it's Skylar's chore. So then I don't feel any like ill will towards Nick because vacuuming is Nick's chore. So I know that he's got that covered. I've got the meal plan covered, and it's like it is a chore at the end of the day. Like it is something that has to be done. We have to eat. We need to know what we're going to eat. So you put in the work ahead of time. You plan out your meals, and then I'm sure you do the same thing every time. Like I do it on Sundays too. I put down like, okay, here's what we're going to eat Monday through Sunday. And I just put the ingredients for that recipe. I put the recipe link in my note and then I put the ingredients for the recipe straight into my to buy list. And then it's done. You don't have to think about it. If I wake up on Thursday and like, oh, right, because fish can only be bought on certain days of the week here. So, okay, we have to go and buy that for dinner tonight. But there's no thought to it. It's over. It's done. Everybody's happy. It's already been discussed. If there were things Nick wanted, he knows. You can't ask me on Thursday to make soup for dinner on Thursday. You can maybe ask me to make it for dinner next week. And he likes it better too. Like everybody's happier when it's just planned out and it's simplified. Like you said, it's simplified.
And put in a flex day. I found that was really fun because adding a flex day means you can either go out to eat, get takeout, or you can just go run to the store and get the quick ingredients for
Yep.
something that you saw last minute that was like, oh, that looks really good.
Yep. Fridays, usually Sundays, actually. I take that back. Now that we're back in season, Sundays are our flex day because it's Nick's one day off from practices or
Mhm.
games. So it's either like we make something together or we go out, or if we're tired, we just order takeout. But it is like the one flex day is like, we're gonna be crazy today. I have no, it's 9 a.m. and I don't know what we're gonna have for dinner. Like really living on the
Yeah.
edge. But you're right. Like, and
Going rogue.
it is, but that's a full circle moment because we have our routine every single day of having the meal plan, but once a week we don't. So we're keeping it interesting, like this, as if this is some wild concept of meal
Spontaneous.
planning. Good God, you can tell we're very type A here. But it keeps it interesting. It keeps it from like you're not eating the same thing every day because you're not meal prepping. Kudos to people who do that, but could not be me. I can't imagine.
No.
I used to like it for lunches. If I was like in school or whatever, like it just because then I really didn't have to think about it. If it was like one salad that I would eat for the week or whatever, that was fine. But now in this phase of life, especially for dinners, to me, dinners need to be different every night. I don't know what it is, but yeah,
I agree.
it's nice. And the flex day is equally as important to the other 6 days that are planned ahead of time, I think.
I agree. And that is it. That is on my list that we hadn't covered. Favorites?
What is your favorite?
My favorite of the week, I actually have two, which we already talked about one, but since I rearranged my room, making my bed has been my favorite.
Of course.
And Julia's baby book. So I updated the one that we had gotten at our baby shower, but then I just ordered one off of TikTok shop that I think is more like letters to her, which I'm really excited about. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, she is getting
What's your
like
favorite?
she's such a perfect size right now. Like every time you send me a picture in the cute little snuggle suits, and she's hit that age where she just like cozy baby. She just looks so cozy,
Mm,
you know?
yeah. She's
Oh,
got a thick layer of like baby blubber on her, which is
oh,
like
for the
really nice.
winter. That's good.
Yeah. I think actually that might be a lot of where my anxiety is coming from today. She has to get a shot this afternoon,
No.
and I don't like that. As we all know, I had a legit mental breakdown in the doctor's office the last time she got shots. It's just so sad, and I just feel like I'm betraying her by going, and it's gonna hurt. But 3 seconds is
Yep.
of her being upset is better than the
Sick.
alternative.
Yes.
So
Yep.
yeah,
Ugh.
like in the hospital and needing IVs and all of that stuff. So that's
Yes.
where we're at.
Oh, she'll be really good. And then mom and baby can get a treat after. I don't know what it would be for Julia, but maybe just a treat for you.
A nice warm bubba for her.
Yeah. My favorite of the week is it's kind of my Italian class as a whole. I put down my Italian binder because I love the little cover I made. But I've just
Yeah.
really been, like I said to you on Instagram today, like it feels like back to school season, and I'm just really enjoying being like learning. I think that's what it is. Like I'm really enjoying
Mm.
learning and seeing the progress week to week. And even someone on TikTok today was like, this is so cool that you're documenting this because this is going to be great to look back on and be able to see like
Yeah.
where you were with comprehension and speaking to where I will be. And I didn't even think about doing it for that reason, but I'm just really enjoying learning and improving. And I think it's been so amazing for my confidence to like do this on my own here and then sit in a classroom and like dare to make mistakes and say things that don't make sense in this foreign language that I'm still trying to understand and just like have the confidence to say things in a group of people that I don't have confidence in, which I think I
Yeah.
really fell out of since moving here because with being abroad I feel like my confidence really went out the window and I've really worked the past couple of years to gain it back. And I think this is one of the first things where I'm not relying on Nick. And there's been so much with living abroad where either I don't have a choice or I feel like I have to lean on him. So I think this has been a really good thing for me to be doing this. I wish he could do the class with me. Just time-wise he can't and I wish he could too, but he even said yesterday he was like I wish I could do these with you, but I'm so kind of happy that I can't because I think I needed this. Like I think I needed Skylar's thing that like I'm getting out of the house. Like I have work, but I'm doing that here in the house. Like getting out, I have to get
Mhm.
myself to class, I have to get myself back. Like all these different things that don't seem like much, but when you've spent 2 years being abroad and feeling like I can't find the right word, but I think you know what I'm trying to say is like this has been really good for me in more ways than just learning the language.
Yeah, you're creating independence in so many different ways.
Yep. Yeah, it's a huge sense of freedom in more ways than I can go into. Yeah, for sure.
I love it. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. What's your
My
quote?
quote of the week is make your energy the prettiest thing about you.
Cute. I
Yeah.
like that. And that's
I
very
feel
in
like my,
line with last week, is what I was
go
going to
ahead.
say.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I feel like my aura has been very dark and gloomy and negative, and I want to sprucing her up, brighten her
Mhm.
up.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's a nice quote, but I like that you've kind of framed it as a goal too. And that's a nice way of
Yeah.
looking at it. Um, this was a quote I took straight from our texts, and it was don't make things hard that don't have to be hard. There are so many things in life, in day-to-day life, that are hard, and you can't change that. Like some things are just hard. And I feel like I, and maybe you too, have been making things hard that don't have to be. Like there's already enough that's hard. So stop going out of our way to add to that. Like if something's simple, let it be simple. Like stop putting extra energy on things that don't need the extra energy.
Yep. Then we don't need to over explain that one because
Yep,
it
that's the
is
point.
what it is. It is
Yes.
at face value.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, leave a review wherever you are tuning in from, and we will see you next week.